Capture the passion.
Hey everybody, welcome to Capture the Passion. I'm Alex Dijon, your host, and I want to welcome you today to this episode about why be a teacher. I have with me here Isaac Medrano. Isaac, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, let the people know who you are.
Oh yes, like Alex said, I'm Isaac Medrano. This is my third year at Rio Hondo College. I am part of the CPT program, which helps community college students to hopefully become teachers in the future.
Cool. How did you hear about the program?
I actually received an email about now I believe a year and a half ago, which said that there's this program that helps to try to get teachers into the field. And well, I've always been kind of interested into teaching since my high school, like near the end of my high school years. So I thought, hey, let me give this a shot, and I've been really enjoying it since.
Man, that is so fantastic. Not only for the fact that you got in the program, but also you are a student who actually looks at your emails.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still some like plenty of emails that I haven't read in my inbox, but this one, I mean, I saw teaching. I'm like, oh, that's something I'm interested in. Let me check it out, and I went for it.
Cool. What made you interested in teaching, though? Like, because you said that you were sort of interested at the end of your high school career.
Yes.
So, like, what was the sort of thing that got you into it?
I guess there's two things. The first is back in high school, I was in this program called Academic Decathlon. There was 10 subjects, one of which was being math. Everybody struggled with the math. Like, there's only really two of us that were good at it, and the two of us would be the ones that would help our other classmates. Sure, we had our coach, but he would get there about 30 minutes late, so we would try to pitch in for those first 30 minutes and help out our teammates. And so that's definitely the first. The second is just I love the reaction people would get when they finally understood something. It's just that aha moment, like they get it, they finally get it, and so that's why I feel like I want to go into teaching.
Okay, so did that mean that you want to be a math teacher?
Yes, math teacher. I'm actually going for my BS, I believe. Yes.
Oh, Bachelor's of Science.
Yeah, Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics. That's what I'm going for.
Oh, that's a fantastic one. I have a Master's of Arts,
Okay.
and I got to tell you right now, having a degree that ends in a science sounds fantastic in the job market.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I think it's also good that you're trying to get into mathematics as a teaching profession, because when I was in high school, I was a tutor and I was an instructional assistant,
Okay.
and I remember the teacher I was assigned with, he taught math, and even though that was not his degree, but because there was such a low number of math teachers that the school needed like more people to just fill that role. So I think it's fantastic that you're going to come in with your love of mathematics, your love of teaching, and that you're really going to help people understand stuff.
Yeah, ever since high school, I feel like people in high school, even like people that I've talked to in my college years, have always told me like, "Oh, you're going for math? That's great. Like, there's not enough people in math. Like, you want to be like a teacher in STEM."
Yeah.
So I'm glad to try to fill in that role.
In terms of that, because it seems that you are a real sort of go-getter, right? And you're very proactive about stuff. In terms of your style of how you teach people, like you said earlier, on how you get a lot of really good aha moments. Like, you love seeing those moments where people finally understand the concept.
Yeah.
What is it like for you having had the experience of sort of tutoring or helping people out? What's that process of teaching like for you?
Well, usually I try to figure out what they know exactly. It's like, okay, what do you know so far? Or what's the last thing you learned?
Right.
And they'll explain to me, oh, it's this. Sometimes I don't get it instantly because, with math over the years, it's like I forget some of the stuff. So I'll just like, hey, is it okay if I look at like what you're learning? I look at it. They like show me like a small example. It's like, oh, okay, I know what you guys are doing.
Oh.
And then from there you work like slowly. Like, I know I've done this with my sister who's taking Algebra 1 currently. I'm like, okay, what do you know? Like, and did this, like, it was a simple, like, maybe like like 2x minus 17 equals like 10, we'll say that. And it's like, okay, what's the stuff you guys learned in class? It's like, okay, you add this stuff first, right? He's like, okay, add it to both. Remember, we gotta work with both sides.
Yeah.
And then like just slowly going from there, like teaching from a easier question to like a harder one. It's like, okay, you already did this, right? It's just a little bit different. You know the rules of that easy one. You apply that same stuff to the hard one, and sure enough, maybe like it did take her a little longer, but she understood it, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, I think that's what I've been like. What I've done since high school is just try to figure out what they know first, and then work from there.
Yeah. Like, how are you able to be so patient with people? Because one of the things I find, at least personally as a teacher, is that sometimes it can be very difficult and frustrating to like working with people because when they don't get it and there's something it's just, oh, come on, don't you get it? Please, just get it.
I think it's just like understanding that some people are at different levels. I mean, with me in high school, I always struggled with English, like analyzing like certain like paragraphs or like sections of a textbook. It's just like I wouldn't get it. Whereas I had other friends where it's just like they understood it instantly.
Yeah.
So I understand that people are different. They understand different things better. Like somebody who's maybe majoring in like chemistry, they know a lot about chemistry.
Yeah.
So if they taught me, it's just they would understand that I probably don't know as much.
Yeah, that's true.
Same with me. I mean, I'm going for my math major, so it's just like I understand that some people like don't know everything about math, and so yeah, I mean, I just had to understand that people are different levels, so you have to have patience with them to get them where they are. Because if you're just frustrated and getting mad at them, they're not gonna learn. Like it's just they're not gonna learn.
Yeah, and I think that you bring up a really good thing in how everybody has different levels and how like English wasn't like your really strong suit in high school. Have you ever seen those videos recently on YouTube on like English high school students take a Korean version of the SATs for the English section? Have you ever seen any of those videos?
No, I can't say I have.
Oh man, it is one of the funniest things to watch when you see people who are native speakers take a test of their language that is from another country. Mm-hmm. It is very difficult for people to understand the concept of, oh wait, analyze this paragraph. Like I can read it, but I just don't get it.
Oh no, I get that. I mean, I feel like English is definitely one of those languages that's just like there's so much that goes into it, and I mean there's so many different like I don't know the right word. I wouldn't say dialects, but like I guess colloquial diction would be the right term.
Yeah.
Because I know like, I mean I grew up in East LA. There's some stuff that I know I'll say that some people won't say, or like maybe sometimes my Spanglish comes out, and I'm just like, oh wait, not everybody knows Spanish, so I feel it depends. I know English is definitely one of the tougher languages to probably learn from an outside perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I am English. English is my first language. I am very Americanized. I don't know any other languages. My mom speaks like 5 different languages. I never learned any. And sort of on that note about sort of everybody sort of has their own traits and everything coming in, I wanted to ask you that since you're already on the track to become a teacher, you know what field you want to teach, you're already on the path to get your degree for that. Mm-hmm. Is there anything about the pathway of becoming a teacher that you don't know about or would like to know about?
I guess getting the teacher's credentials. I know like I have to take like an extra year or 2, I believe, once I go to that Cal State level, the university level, I should say. I don't know what like other programs I have to take, what other extra classes I have to take, or not extra, but the ones that I do have to take in order to get my credentials.
Yeah.
I still haven't really looked into it, just because I feel like I'm not like still at that point. Like I'm still like I'm really far from it. Like I'm still really far from it. So I haven't really been like, oh, let me research everything about what I have to do in order to get where I am. But through the program, like with my mentor, she actually had like helped me with. I actually interviewed a middle school teacher, and he was like, I think the key important thing that he told me is like, after you get your teacher's credentials, again, I don't know what to do in order to get that, but after you do, subbing is one of the better things you could do.
Oh, absolutely.
So at least I know what to do a little bit after the fact that I get my stuff, but I still don't fully know what to do in order to get my teacher's credentials.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I realized it could be really like complicated because to be a substitute teacher, you need to pass something called the CBEST. This like the California Basic Skills and Education test. But if you want to be a credential teacher, to be like a full-time K through 12 K through 12 teacher, you have to pass the CSET, which is a specific type of credential test. So that way you could teach a specific
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 subject.
thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good, especially that, because I know a lot of people who are substitute teachers, and that was good money for them. It was, you go into a school and you sub for like a day, and that's like $150 right there for like 8 hours of work.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I assume it might have changed recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine that for some people, like, oh, it's a really good way to sort of get your feet wet into the whole process.
Yeah, that, and also because he was telling me that it's good to sub because then you already get acquainted with like the people on top in the school. So eventually, when they do have a position open, like it'll be a little bit easier for you to like maybe apply for it and even get the job. So he was telling me about all these things.
Yeah.
And he was being like really honest with some of the stuff he was saying. He's just like, yeah, that's just like that's not true, or like not true, but he was just stating the facts.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't trying to sugarcoat it. He was just like, yeah, like this is this, that's that. Like.
Oh, so he's one of those people who'd have like Dyson in hand and go like youngin. Like you need to listen up to this, and then you just like tell them like truth. Like no, don't listen to these people. They don't know what they're talking about. Here's the honest answer.
Yeah, I think so. He's just like, or like I would like say like tell him something like I may have heard. He's like, yeah, it's true, but like it's also this. Like he'll add like something to it. So it was like a really good interview. I believe I have a recording of it. I haven't watched it back in a while. I mean, it's been a few months since I interviewed him, so I should probably go back and listen to it or watch the interview again.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, it seems like you have a really good network already, and I'm glad that not only did the middle school teacher tell you get into that where you know people so you can network, because sometimes I think he's right. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And then also that thanks to your mentor in the CPTP program that you have a better idea on what it takes to go into the field. Let me sort of move the direction, because what I've been hearing you talk a lot is sort of the impact and advice you've been getting from other people. For your perspective, how important is it to know people in terms of guiding you on the journey, and how have they helped you with that?
I mean, I feel like it's definitely important. I feel like if you don't have anybody to help you, to help or guide you, then like you'll be lost. Like I know I definitely would be lost if not for the help of like certain figures in my life. I mean, even like my previous like high school teacher, I remember I went back to him after I graduated, and he was even telling me about like maybe stuff I should like look into. I mean, even in the far future, he's just like, hey, after you get that bachelor's, you should probably also go for a master's. Like, he's like, I know that's a lot of time, like a lot of time in school, but it's probably more beneficial for you to go for that master's. And you know, like his words do resonate in me. Like, obviously, I'm still not thinking of that since like there's still plenty of years until I get there. But I mean, once it comes to the decision, I might like ask other people in my life, like, hey, what do you recommend? I mean, I already know his perspective is go for the master's, but I don't think I've asked like my mentor, but I'm pretty sure she would also say go for my master's, and I feel like any other teacher that I could go back to, they'll probably also say the same thing. So
I know, as somebody who has a master's, I would say go get your master's.
Yeah, exactly.
If only for two reasons. Number one, when you have a master's degree, that makes you able to teach at the college level. Because at the college level, they don't use credentials to assess qualifications. Well, some do, but the minimum qualifications for teaching at any college, at least in California, is a master's degree. You need to have an advanced degree. The other reason why you should, or why I recommend you also may want to get a master's after you get your bachelor's, is that it also puts you higher on the pay scale. So in education, the higher educational attainment you have, the more income you get in like just straight away.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure, hey, as a math person, I'm sure you can crunch the numbers way better than me. Because I remember when I was getting advice, I had one person tell me, "Oh, go get your PhD, Alex. You get a master's. You have a master's right now. You get a PhD. That's like 15-20% bump right there with a PhD."
But it's probably a lot. Yeah. I mean, I haven't even thought about PhD.
Oh yeah, me neither. I'm the same way. I do not need to be called a doctor.
Yeah,
no. Let me sort of switch the gears again, because I'm really happy that you've gotten so much advice and mentorship, not only from some teachers in your community, but also from the program here, not only at Rio Hondo College, but also for the Community Partnership for Teachers pipeline. But since this episode is about why be a teacher, let me ask you straight up, why do you want to be a teacher?
Why do I want to be a teacher? Well, I mean, I feel like it's like I said earlier. Like I feel like I want to have I want to see more of those aha moments, as well as I mean, I feel like it's really nice to know that I could be like maybe this important figure in somebody else's life. And I think those are like the key things that are definitely motivating me. I mean, even with my current job, I feel like I mean, I'm just a supervising assistant at the school I work with, so I'm just there like looking over them during their lunchtime. But even the small talks that I have with some of the students, it's just like I think that's what drives me into like maybe like it still drives me into being a teacher, because like maybe it's like, you know, sometimes the students are having a tough day, and like I try my best to help out, even though I'm still not a teacher. It's like I'm this like adult that's taking care of them, technically. So that's definitely like a big driving force into like me wanting to be a teacher as well.
Cool. Now, in our current society, I want to sort of bring this up, is that a lot of people have negative connotations right now. There are issues in education, arguments about what books should be banned, that teachers aren't getting paid enough, things like that. What do you think discourages students or younger people from considering getting into teaching as a profession? Like, why do you think people don't want to do it?
I think there's multiple factors, one of which being like definitely pay. I think that's a lot of teachers will argue, and like a lot of the news will say that, yeah, teachers don't get paid enough. And like you'll see, like I've seen videos of teachers that like they'll go out of their way, they'll use their own money to help benefit their classroom, which is kind of sad, because you know, they don't have enough of the resources to make sure that their students are having a good time in class and learning well. So yeah, I feel like that's definitely one of the big issues. The second is teachers that don't know, that aren't that good at teaching. I feel like there's some teachers that, you know, they're not that good with students. Like maybe they don't like I don't know if it's just like, you know, they're not the best when it comes to like being social or communicating with them. But yeah, there are some teachers that I feel in my life where I'm just like, I did not like them. Like I did not want to like. But I feel like for me, it does that opposite effect of it's just like I don't want to see any more bad teachers, so I want to be a good one when I get there. But obviously, I know for some students it maybe discourages them. Like, hey, I don't want to be a teacher. Like.
So I know you're not a teacher yet, but you're still an educator.
Yes.
And I think personally you have the most important quality a good educator needs, which is caring about the students, about the education. What advice would you have? And because I'm not a math person, and you have great patience, it seems like, Isaac. What advice would you give to bad teachers to be better teachers?
I think communication. Like, if you see that a student is struggling, ask them, hey, like, what is it you're struggling with? Because sometimes it may not just be that the problem is tough, or that, like, maybe because sometimes they either had, like, a bad teacher previously, or maybe they just, like, you know, forgot some of the, like, important concepts, so maybe the teacher should go back into it and, like, teach them these, like, older concepts that they learned through the years. Or yeah, maybe it's something that goes on in the student's life that you don't know, because obviously the student's probably not gonna like reveal everything. Like you can't just look at a student and think, oh, he's having a bad day right now.
Right.
Like sometimes it's harder to check on them. So I feel like communication is definitely one of those better factors.
Cool. I think that's really good advice. Before you go, let me ask you one last thing.
Yes.
So you talked about on how you wanted to be a teacher because you love being there for the aha moments, and you really love making a difference and making an impact in people's lives. And I know that because you work at a school right now and you're in the process, what was your most recent aha moment?
Oh, it had to be with this fifth grader. Like early this semester, we had to like be with some of the students that were close contacts, and you send them back to class or send them to the office. And this one student, she was the only one left. She was a fifth grader, and like I didn't want her to be bored, so I asked her what her favorite subject is, and she said math. And well, I got happy. Yeah, and there was like little whiteboards, so I'm like, I was like, what are you guys learning right now? She said multiplying factors. I was like, okay. If you learn dividing, no. You want to learn? And she's like, yeah. So I taught her. And I mean, one of the easier constants, like keep, change, flip. And I'm like, all right. You do it. You keep that first fraction. You change that multiplication or that division to a multiplication. You change it, and then you flip it. You flip the other fraction. That's all you do. And yeah, I think 2 days after, she comes to me. It's like we learned KCF, keep, change, flip, and I was happy. Yeah, I was so happy to learn that.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so fantastic. That's a great way. Thank you so much, Isaac, for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Thank you so much for inspiring.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Doc.
Great.
CaPture the passion.